This is just a little video to talk a little bit more about the loom and show you it up close. This loom was made in the early 20th century, in the early 1900s. It's a share weave loom that was manufactured in San Diego, California. Can't really see there because the sun's shining too brightly behind it, but there's a lovely plaque on this loom that was made by manufactured in America by E.C. Turner at 1760 State Street. And they're no longer there, but it's a beautiful testimony to days gone by. This loom is made from either cherry or red oak, and it just, you can see there, it just absolutely glistens in the sun. It's such a beautiful loom. It's been completely refurbished. I was given this loom about 6 or 7 years ago by an elder Mary who learned to weave when she was just a little girl, and she was 93 when she passed this loom on to me. And her mother learned to weave on this loom, and she was part of the San Diego Weavers Guild, and a lot of people learned to weave on this loom, and Mary wove on it until she was in her 80s, and she gave it to her son, who stored it in a shed, and it was horribly damaged. And I came upon it when I moved in with Mary a couple years later. I was starting to weave, and she gave me this loom. Got it back from her son who had passed away, and it was just run down, and she couldn't possibly get rid of it. So she had just kept it in a heap in the garage, and I found someone to help me completely restore it. It was my first restoration project, and it's just a lovely, lovely loom. I just don't weave enough to warrant the use of space. We have a super tiny home, and we're downsizing. So I'd love to find it a home where it's going to be used, actively used, as opposed to just sitting where, you know, it has sat mainly in my home. I am weaving on it, and I'm finishing this rug before I sell it, but it's time to find it a home where it's going to be used actively. So let me take you through it real quick. It's a 4 harness loom. These are the treadles at the bottom, and you can see they have these old-fashioned connections with really, I don't know if you could probably find these somewhere, but these old screws that that I kept original parts from when her husband actually made this. These are I think they're called leaves or lasts that it hooks into that control the harnesses up top, and you can adjust these depending on how you, by these holes, depending on how you want to arrange it. I kept a lot of the old bolts and things. Some of the ones that needed to be replaced were, but some of the older ones, like this one, I tried to keep just for historic value. But a lot of the hardware is new, just because the other had rusted out. It does have little dings here and there. Like here's a little ding right there. You can see with my finger, but and another little one down here just from use. But they'd be easy to sand out with steel wool if you wanted it perfect. Otherwise, I think it just gives it character. The bottom here is this is the mechanism that turns the loom. There's a break in the back, and the setup is the same. This piece at the top slides up, and then this piece hooks onto the gears. Close up there, and then you just pull this lever up, and it moves the whole work forward. Up top here, it's a brand new, oops, too much sun. There's a brand new reed on this. It's completely new. I've had it for about 3 years, no rust. It's, I believe, about 36 inches. And the harnesses here, sometimes you have to readjust them a little bit. But there's your 4 harnesses, and they're connected, as you see, by a pulley system. So these are new ropes, but the original pulleys, and the castle's in really good shape up there. It has 2 pulleys at the top, and there are string heddles here. So I think there's probably about a couple hundred on here right now total. But we have extras of those, or some people prefer the heddles that are made of wire. So you could change that up if you wanted to get rid of the string heddles and go more modern. And then what holds the harnesses together, this is one thing I would suggest updating. is that there is a right here, these kind of a copper wire that I put in to hold the harnesses together, but sometimes they get snagged on each other, or on the side here you can see I put in a little scrape pad so it wouldn't scrape the wood. And if you were going to make one change in the loom, I'd recommend that. Here's a look at how the treadles at the bottom are hooked onto the leaves, and then both in the front and the back there's a huge, beautiful wood roller that rolls the warp. And you can also see that sometimes to keep everything tight, I put in extra sticks or blocks or things if it's a little loose in parts, so that helps it to stay nice and tight. And let's see, on this side, in the back, through the Christmas tree, which is right against my loom, I have, this is the turner, beautiful wood turner that turns. It's hard to see with the Christmas tree in there, but that's the turner. That, and the brake is here on this side. This is the part that goes up, and then you just turn this handle to pull it tighter, and then put the brake back down again, and it sets right nicely in there, right on the mechanism there. And that's it. So right now I have it all together. By the time you see it, it might be apart. I'm hoping to finish this rug by the new year and find this loom a lovely new home. And if you live locally, you're welcome to, I'll leave it hooked up. You're welcome to come use it and try it out. If you live far away, then of course that's not an option, but you can always send someone local to try it out. And otherwise, I think that answers the bulk of what this loom is. And how it's put together. And if you buy the loom, I will make sure to provide a video on how to put it back together and mark all the pieces for you for easy re-establishing. So that's Mary's old loom. One thing I forgot to mention is that sometimes when you're weaving, it does have a pretty nice shed. Let me just show you that real quick. You can see how I'm pressing on the 1 and the 3 petals, and it comes up pretty darn even. Sometimes it doesn't always, it's not always 100% even, but it's got a pretty nice shed in there. Let me just show you how what that looks like. So there's my finger, and you can see that there's a lot of room in there. It looks pretty clean. And here is the 2 and the 4, and you see now this one came up a little bit cattywampus. And so every now and then I just have to adjust just a wee bit. I haven't used the loom regularly in these last couple of weeks, but when you're using it regularly, it seems to kind of pull it back in line. But sometimes you do need to just adjust your harnesses a little bit. And then again, you get a really nice shed. And there that is again. So this one needs a little bit more tightening, but it gives you a good glimpse of what the shed is like on this. And one last thing I also forgot to say is the extras that come with this. And over here we have an old-fashioned warp winder that Mary's husband made, and there's some extra boards here that you can use to put inside the warp to make it tighter, as well as a steel bar, some extra heddles that are already hand tied and ready to go for you. Old-fashioned crank winder, and then some shuttles. I think this first one is a shuttle, I'm not totally sure, and then or a warp or a yarn winder, but then there are 4 really nice shuttles. This one has wheels in the bottom, but the other ones are just nice and clean, beautiful wood, excellent metal points, just beautiful. And then 2 books that I included too. This one's Weave Your Own Tweeds by Roger Millen. It was made in 1948. And this book is the Encyclopedia of Hand Weaving by Zelinsky. And it was a withdrawn book from a library, and it was published in, let's see, it was published in 1959. So those are included as well. Enjoy.